Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Ooh, I like when you press that one.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblue, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk Media Network. It's a Talking Tuesday, and we're glad to be talking at you. Thank you for coming over to us from wherever you've been. I know you've been dying to get to us. We're glad to have you. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number here on Sports Talk. Well, South Carolina has an offensive coordinator, and Dabo Swinney is missing two key defensive players for the Shrine Bowl. I just came from the Shrine Bowl. For the Orange Bowl, and South Carolina loses two big offensive line commitments. All today. That's just today alone. As the world continues to turn in college football here in South Carolina. Phil Kornblute, Pat Daniel. We are here at the Dave and Buster's Studios in downtown Columbia. And joining us from, are you in North or South Dakota?
I am barely in South Dakota, Phil. About an hour just inside the state border here in Vermilion, South Dakota, where they got some snow here the past couple of days and are expecting more tomorrow. So there is a chance for Coastal Carolina fans who might be listening tonight, there is a chance that tomorrow night's 8 p.m. local time, 9 p.m. tip-off might actually be bumped up earlier in the day just to avoid some issues with the weather later on tonight, because after we play, we got in here about 1 o'clock Eastern time, midnight local time last night, and after we play tomorrow night, we are driving back to Omaha to get on a plane bright and early Thursday morning to head back home. And I just wanted to, right off the bat, apologize to both Clemson and Carolina fans. I did not realize me leaving the state would also incur an exodus from both of those programs as well. I didn't realize I had that kind of power.
It has been the barn doors opened up, and the horses are racing out. All right, let me update everybody. And I've been traveling. I went up to Clemson today for Dabo Swinney. We'll hear from him. And, of course, coming out of Dabo Swinney today, the news that Myles Murphy is headed to the NFL. He's not going to play. He becomes, historically, the first opt-out for Clemson since opting out became a thing to do for college football players. So Myles Murphy, the very talented defensive end for Clemson, opting out, going to go ahead and focus on the NFL draft. He's expected to be a first-rounder, of course, maybe a high first-rounder. Mm-hmm. And you had to like his career at Clemson. He had 35 games, 116 tackles, 36 tackles for loss, 18 and a half sacks. So he was quite the contributor. And then linebacker Trent Simpson, he's going to miss the game with an ankle injury. He re-aggravated that in the ACC championship game. And Swinney also said Simpson will be releasing some news soon about his future plans. He said he knows what it is, but he did not share it with us today. And I don't know that anything has come out. If y'all have seen anything, let me know. I don't know if anything has come out since I left Clemson and went to the Shrine Bowl, which, the way he handled it kind of leads me to believe that he's coming back, Simpson. But I could be totally wrong on that. I haven't seen anything come out since this afternoon. So that's the two big pieces of news from the Clemson way about Murphy and the injury to Simpson and whatever pending decision he's going to be revealing. I'm looking at his Twitter page right now, and there's nothing new on there related to that. So that still seems to be hanging over everybody. And then, South Carolina this afternoon announced that they have hired a new offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, and it is the gentleman from Arkansas, Dowell Logan's offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach, and he brings a lot of NFL experience to the staff. The last 2 seasons, he worked at tight ends at Arkansas. Before that, 16 NFL seasons, including 7 as an offensive coordinator and a quarterback's coach. And off the top of my head, if I can recall the stops, there was Chicago, there was Cleveland, there was the Jets, there was the Dolphins. Am I forgetting any? Oh, the Browns. There was the Browns. So not exactly the upper echelon of the NFL when he was there, but a guy who was in demand, apparently, in NFL circles. I know there's been stories written about how he was considered the worst play caller in the NFL and all that kind of stuff. But obviously, Beamer likes a guy with NFL background and feels like that's the way to go for his offense. And so this is where he's headed. This guy, I give him credit, Dowell Loggins, and I think Beamer probably sees a lot of himself in Loggins' background. This was a guy who was, he's 5'6", he's not a big guy. Beamer's not a big guy. He was a walk-on at Arkansas. Beamer was a walk-on at Virginia Tech. They both played at the schools that they grew up loving. Beamer because his dad was the head coach at Virginia Tech, and Loggins because he's from Arkansas. And they both lived out their dreams of playing for their favorite schools. So he is coming to South Carolina. The reception, if you go by what people are saying on message boards and what they've said here, the reception is equal to sort of like, being scheduled for a colonoscopy. That's about as excited as. I had one guy that I talked to for a long time with a longtime friend, kind of a source as well sometimes, huge Gamecock. And I mean, look, you can't put everything on this one conversation, but we talked about a whole bunch of different stuff. But he said one thing in our conversation that stuck with me, and I said, you know what? I'm going to say this tonight. And he's telling the truth. He said, the fans aren't happy about this. Beamer's not listening to the fans, and he needs to know, this person said this, that we, the fans, because of NIL, we're the owners of the team. And you had better listen to what we're saying, whether it's on message boards or talk shows, emails to the athletics director, emails to the football office. We're the owners of the team. And that just sort of struck me as, you know what? He's right. The fans who are being asked to give money, who are giving money in large sums, they are the owners of the team. And if they don't get what they want, you know what they do? They keep their money. And in today's world, and it's becoming clearer and clearer to me, for the top players, it's a true bidding war. It is a true outright bidding war all across the country. And if you want to play with the big boys, then you're going to have to pay like the big boys. And the question is, are you going to make that commitment? Is your fan base going to make that commitment? So keep that in mind as this all plays out. Also, the USC
all right, let me throw this out real quickly, Phil.
Let me give you this real quick. The Board of Trustees approved a 3-year deal for Loggins at $1 million per year. That's $100,000 more per year than what Satterfield got. And the board approved a raise from $265 to $725 for special teams coordinator and associate head coach Pete Limbo. Of course, special teams unit was outstanding. A little bit more real quickly here on Loggins. Coaching experience. Okay, he was with the Cowboys as a scouting assistant. He was with the Titans. He was with the Browns. He was with the Bears, the Dolphins, the Jets, and most recently with Arkansas.
And I think totally deserved of that raise. I mean, I saw where Ray Tanner said he's hoping that means he's the highest paid special teams coordinator in the SEC. I think he probably should be the highest paid special teams coordinator in the country, Phil, based off of the fact he had the best special teams unit in the country this past year. But back to your friend's point, that's all well and good. But are these also going to be the same fans that come back and apologize and add more money into the coffers if Beamer's right?
Yes.
On Loggins?
Yes.
I mean, are they going to No, you won't see a word. You won't see one person come out and say, I was wrong about this. I'm glad they're doing well. It'll just be, I told you so. Nobody comes back to apologize on Twitter when they're wrong.
Yeah, but
They only stick it in your face when they're right.
They'll give the money, though. They will continue. If it's working and they're winning and this guy's producing a heck of an offense, they will give the money. They will continue to give the money to try to make them competitive. That's the world that it is now. And there's nobody being bashful about it. They're boastful about it. They're like, yeah, I'm giving this amount of money. I'm willing to pay this amount of money. I was told, now this is, I don't have this official, but I mean, I was told that like there was a signing recently and they wanted two women's basketball players, and it was going to be $15,000 per player to come to do a signing. And instead they got like 4 or 5 football players for a lesser amount. The point being that the women's basketball players are the highest earning NIL athletes, their highest earning athletes getting NIL on the campus. That Boston commands about $25,000 per appearance.
Wow.
This is what I'm being told by a fan who's I know this person, and I know that this person is a longtime contributor, fan, insider type person. So my point is that there's money being tossed around out there in gobs to these.
But his point about
owning
the program is totally false, because Pat, and everybody else knows TV owns these college programs. And until the fans start generating nearly as much money into the programs as the television partners do, coaches shouldn't listen. They should listen to their fans, but they shouldn't make coaching decisions based on what the fans are saying. These are Gamecock fans who probably 90% that were against the hire could not have told you who he was 2 weeks ago.
But this is the problem. The money that the schools are getting from TV is not going to the players. That's going to the coaches. That's going to facilities. The money coming from the fans, that's what's going directly to the players. And that's why the schools are panhandling to the fans. We need you to give more money. It's not enough that you give for scholarships. It's not enough that you give for updating facilities. You've got to give, and you got to give in big money for us to be able to show this quarterback that he can come here and make $250,000 a year. If we don't, then Georgia is, or Alabama is, or Clemson is. That's the panhandling job that athletic directors and officials now have to take. I call them panhandlers. That's what it is in my mind. They're panhandling.
No,
They're begging
I agree
for money.
with you.
But that's the system that they have all created for themselves. And it's a swamp. You talk about the swamp in politics in Washington. This is a swamp, is college athletics. It's really, really piss poor what they've created out there. Okay. Let's hit the break, and then let's get to your phone calls. The number is 888-898-2525.
May I slide something in real quick?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just got this message. I wanted to pass it along. Coastal's game tomorrow night has been moved up to now a 6 p.m. local time, 7 p.m. tip-off, as opposed to 8 o'clock local time, 9 p.m. tomorrow night due to the weather. I just got that message out. So Coastal fans who are interested, that game tomorrow night here at South Dakota has been moved up 2 hours to accommodate
just
the
how
weather.
cold is it in South Dakota right now?
It's actually not bad. It's about 38 degrees outside and rainy. Now, we got lucky because I looked at the long-range forecast, Phil, and next Thursday, this is the forecasted high here in Vermilion, -1.
Hey.
That's the high, not the low.
Chris, while we're on the subject, before we lose you tonight, do you have any update on South Dakota's head basketball coach, Eric Peterson, and his recovering from his injury that cost him the game over the weekend?
Have not gotten the game notes from their group yet because of they were waiting to make sure the game time was what it was before they sent those out. So I do not have an update on him. I actually Phil, it appears, decorating his home for Christmas last week.
Now, speaking of Coastal, and we'll go to the break after this. This was on FBS schedules. FBS schedules. Coastal Carolina and Liberty adjust future football series.
Interesting, huh?
You see this story?
I did.
Yeah. So this is according to Coastal's athletic website. Coastal and Liberty were scheduled to play a total of 5 games between 23 and 29. The 23 matchup was dropped when the Flames officially announced their non-conference schedule back in July. And then per Coastal, the 24 contest with Liberty has been rescheduled. It'll now be played in 2030. Additionally, the game will now be a home contest for Coastal. Games in 27, 28, 29 remain as scheduled. Okay, so they will play in 27. Well, maybe by then Grayson McCall will have finished his career at Liberty.
And perhaps Jamie Chadwell will have as well.
Moved on to bigger things. Interesting. Okay, let's go to the break, and we'll come back and take your phone calls. 888-898-2525 is our phone number here on Sports Talk. If you couldn't get through last night, we'll take your calls tonight. We'll hear from Dabo Sweeney a little bit later on, his thoughts from earlier today coming up, and we'll be back.
When your day calls for some winning, why not watch your favorite football team at Dave & Buster's? We've got massive HDTVs and hundreds of the hottest new games. Sip from our chef-crafted cocktail menu with exclusive drinks such as the Strawberry Watermelon Margarita or Dangerous Waters. Cheer on the team with Cantina Nachos or wings featuring one of our 12 wing flavors. When your day calls for some winning, it's time for Dave & Buster's, where you can watch the games and play the games. Locations in Greenville, Columbia, and Myrtle Beach.
Join the Trailblaze Challenge, the endurance hike program where big hearts come together for big steps to create hope for local Wish families through Make-A-Wish, South Carolina. This spring, take part in a new journey on the Palmetto Trail. From sunrise on the highest peak in South Carolina to the coastal marshes of the Lowcountry, hikers of all levels can support critically ill children, enjoy and explore the outdoors, and build South Carolina pride and community through an all-inclusive hike experience. Visit sctrailblazechallenge.org to learn how to get started. That's sctrailblazechallenge.org.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
It's been such a busy day. I forgot to mention the other big story is that it became official today that Clemson picked up a commitment from Dutch Fork running back Jarvis Green, the Shrine Bowler. He announced today for the Clemson Tigers. We'll talk more about that in recruiting coming up. And our phone number, 888-898-2525 is the number. Looking forward to getting to your phone calls. That's our South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. And since 2002, more than $160 million in lottery proceeds have been used to fund South Carolina Hope Scholarships for the state's college-bound students. Learn more about the lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com/educationwins. And playing for fun is a win for education. We come to you from the Dave & Buster's studio here in Columbia. Tonight, eat, drink, play, and catch the big games. Tonight and all season long, Dave & Buster's in Greenville, Columbia, and Myrtle Beach. Let's get to your phone calls. Hear what's on your mind tonight, and we'll update some other things as we move on through the program. And we go to Tiger Bryan in Lancaster to get us started tonight. Tiger Bryan, how are you? Welcome in.
Man, I'm doing great. How y'all doing?
Man, we're doing great. It's great to have you.
Hey, I'm going to tell you what, Mike Leake, coach died. No, man, he was a character. I enjoyed listening to him on his, after the game or whatever. He Bigfoot, UFOs, and all. He was a character for college football. We're going to miss that type of people. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed. That's just so sad. It turns out that he had a heart condition of some degree. You know, when a young man of 61 suffers a major heart attack, I mean, you kind of search and question. There's got to be something going on in the background, and apparently he had a heart condition of some type going on, and something happened on Sunday, of course, that brought it to an end. But yeah, that's a terrible, terrible loss for college football, sports in general. Quotable, a football genius when it comes to creating an offense, implementing an offense, running an offense, and he created his a character. You know, he was a character. He had a great persona. People loved talking to him. When he talked, people listened. So yeah, it's a huge loss for everybody who follows college football.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, man. Yeah, kind of remind me of myself sometimes the way I act crazy at times. You know, yeah, and people look at me like I'm crazy, but I'll be telling the truth. You know?
Well, I mean, you're a character. You've got a persona. When you talk, people listen. You're kind of the same way.
Come on now, you pat me on the back again now.
Well, Tiger Bryant, I'm just calling it like it is. I mean, you could probably start your own show, your own network. You could probably be on television. You could probably be a swimsuit model. There's all kind of things you could probably do.
No, not no swim.
No,
you going to a long way. You throwing me in left field now.
No,
come on now.
No.
Hey, I'll tell you what, we was at the Shrine Club, we was doing the Shriner thing in Lancaster this weekend. Me and Mark Baker, my rapid sign man, hey, we was up there. Hey, and you know what? People saying, that's Tiger Brown for Sports Talk. Bill Coleman who loves him. I said, yeah. So, hey, they listen to me in Lancaster, and they love you too, man. I'll tell you what.
You own Lancaster. You are the king of Lancaster. By the way, I saw the head coach at Andrew Jackson. I know you're a big AJ fan. And I met him for the first time at the Touchstone Energy Bowl. He was there for practice, watching one of the players. And in fact, the players,
I got a player in the bowl. Yep.
Yeah. In fact, his dad, the player's dad, was standing there, and I was talking to him too. And I said, "You guys know one of y'all's big supporters, Tiger Bryant from Lancaster. So they've heard of you. They know who you are."
Yeah, well, so I worked at school division 31 years. I was air conditioned crew heating there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know all them coaches come and gone. I don't know. I've been retired 7 years now, but I still get in contact with them. You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah.
Make sure they do the right thing down here in my hood. You know
well, I mean, look, if they need some offensive input, they should come to you and you can direct them.
Hey, you give me a Christmas present on this show tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tiger Bryant. All right, my man. Thank you. All right.
Phil, the mark of a really, really good radio show is when the callers are more popular than the hosts.
I give you that. He is. He dominates. And
no question.
And I'm happy. I'm happy that he dominates. That's all good. All right. 888-898-2525 is our phone number. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. As we come up on the bottom of the hour, we can continue with your phone calls on the other side. And let's see, from Furman, a couple of their football players named to the AP FCS All-American team, tight end Ryan Miller, offensive tackle Anderson Tomlin. They've been named to the team. Of course, Miller is moving on. He does have another year of eligibility, but he's moving on to get ready for the NFL draft. And Tomlin, who is 6'5", 301, he's a redshirt senior, and I guess he's moving on to something else, perhaps the NFL. Speaking of Furman, talked to a former Furman coach, current Anderson coach Bobby Lamb today on the sideline. We watched some of the Sandlappers practice. He's going to be with us tomorrow night to talk about his program, trying to build a program from scratch. As he told me today, he was out there practicing recruiting. They're out there practicing recruiting because he knows, like he said, the players in the Shrine Bowl, most of them are above their level. But now the Touchstone Energy Bowl, he said, there are a lot of players in that game that they're recruiting that they'd like to have. But they're in the process of piecing it together. Oh, by the way, my goodness, Spartanburg High School. What have you built back there?
Isn't it?
Oh, my gosh. What a high school from the outside. And then the football stadium is just spectacular. As nice a high school stadium as you'll find anywhere. Great place. Back in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. The chance of showers mainly after 4 p.m. Mostly cloudy with highs near 54. Chance of precipitation is 30%. Showers likely, then showers and possibly a thunderstorm late. Lows around 49. Thursday, showers and possibly a thunderstorm before 1 p.m. Highs near 65. New rainfall amounts between 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch possible. Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Hey, it's the Cigar Militia. We want to thank the Midlands for a wonderful first year. Thank you for helping us grow. We had no idea we had so many good friends out there. One thing I love about the cigar culture is we all have our favorite brands, but we're also willing to try new ones too. Come in and get your old standby or have one of our knowledgeable staff members walk you through the humidor to your new favorite. We're at 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard in the same plaza as the Melting Pot Restaurant.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting the U.S. government charged Samuel Bankman-Fried, the founder and former CEO of cryptocurrency exchange FTX, with a host of financial crimes on Tuesday, alleging he intentionally deceived customers and investors to enrich himself and others while playing a central role in the country's multi-billion-dollar collapse. A massive storm blowing across the country spawned tornadoes that wrecked homes and injured a handful of people in parts of Oklahoma and Texas, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area. As much of the central United States, from the Rocky Mountains to the Midwest, braced Tuesday for blizzard-like conditions. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 103 points, the Nasdaq rose 113, the S&P 500 advancing by 29. More details at srnnews.com.
We might not get the wrath of winter they get up north, but we still need something to take that cold edge off. Let Bart Fireside provide your warmth this winter with the comfort and convenience of gas logs. Bart Fireside can beautify existing fireplaces with new gas logs or install a new fireplace. Bring the family together this winter. Bart Fireside is National Fireplace Institute certified. Want more info? Take a look at bartfireside.com or go by the showroom to get some hands-on help. 1131 Broad River Road. Bart Fireside, keeping you warm this winter.
Jingle bells, shotgun shells. Your Christmas should always start at Shooter's Choice. Hey, I know you're wanting that new gun for Christmas. Time to get shopping for it right now at Shooter's Choice on Sunset Boulevard in West Columbia. Are you looking for a Benelli, Browning, Henry, Glock, SIG, Springfield, or Ruger, or maybe some other popular brand? Let the experienced staff at Shooter's Choice help you make the right decision for your perfect holiday gift. If it's hunting or personal concealed carry, or just that new gun you've been waiting for, with Shooter's Choice holiday season promotions, they've got you covered. In stock, on the shelf, ready for you to check out. Not catalog.
That phone number is 843-237-4246, 843-237-4246. Jimmy Smith, Paulie'sVacationRentals.com for your perfect beach getaway. Oh, okay. I know what the problem was. I did that.
Yes, you did. I wasn't going to call you out on there, but yes, for any of our listeners who were unable to hear the stream the last, 25 minutes or so.
That was me. I didn't realize by doing it in my laptop that it would actually mute the feed, but it does that.
How about moving forward, we let the producer handle the production? How about that? I say that with love.
Sorry about that. That's on me, folks. My apologies. Back to the phones, 888-898-2525 is the number. Bunch of folks standing by. We appreciate your patience as we will go next to did that Bruce in Missouri, where it's probably pretty cold as well. Bruce, welcome into Sports Talk.
Yeah, it's cold and windy and rainy here. It's just miserable weather. But anyway, we didn't get any cutouts with you here. Y'all were just in rhythm of everything after the commercial. So everything was fine up here.
Good.
Anyway, Ty K, when he hit the receiver of the kickoff for the bowl game Saturday, can you describe that hit? He hit the runner on the kickoff.
Say that one more time.
The kickoff for the bowl game the high school teams played.
Okay, the Touchstone Energy Bowl.
Ty K hit the runner that received the ball on the kickoff in the second half.
Okay.
And he made him fumble the ball.
Yes. Yes.
Tell me how hard he hit that guy.
Well, he hit him hard enough to make him fumble.
Okay. Well, remember me telling you about how Abbeville football players play?
They make them tough. They make them tough.
Horizontal.
They make them tough. Yes, they do. They make them tough.
And that's what I was raised on.
Yes.
All right. Now, I don't own Clemson University. I volunteered my energy to pull for them. I have never, ever owned or thought about owning Clemson University. It's my college, and I'm a fan. I contribute my energy to see what Clemson's doing. I used to work for them as well. I wanted to work for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, you Carolina fans are crazy. You don't own the football team.
You're talking about, when you say you Carolina fans, of course, you're not including the hosts here. You're talking about who I was referring to earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm talking to the crowd.
Okay.
No.
Let's just be clear about this.
That's the whole difference between Clemson and Carolina. Y'all think y'all need to dictate everything that the daggum team is doing, and you don't know doodly squat.
Oh, Bruce, I don't know about that now. Have you looked at some of the things that people were writing on message boards when the quarterback was struggling and they didn't think the play calling was going very well? And I don't know about all that.
Wait a minute, now hold it. Why did they do that? Because they're concerned about the football team not performing like they should be performing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing. But they don't say they own the team. They didn't say get rid of Dabo or anything like that. They wanted to get rid of the quarterback.
And the quarterback coach and the offensive coordinator. And they want Dabo to change his ways. They want Dabo to be more aggressive on the NIL front because they perceive Clemson getting beat in recruiting because they're being outbid from an NIL standpoint.
But I've been preaching Dabo's situations ever since he started the job because he was the lowest paid coach in the coaching team. You remember that, don't you?
Right, and now he's like one of the highest.
They told him, you just be the head coach. You don't call no plays. You don't do anything, but you're the head coach. You're the funny bunny. Okay, well he's the funny bunny.
Well, I mean, he would not agree with that. I think Dabo does have an input on everything that goes on with that football team.
Dabo, you're not calling any plays or anything.
Oh, I think he calls plays. I think he calls plays, and I think he suggests defenses.
All right. Well, I'm telling you right now, he didn't do it. You had Chad Morris in there and Venable in there. What was he going to do?
Well, I
You
think
saw how
there's
Venable
input. I
was.
think in staff meetings, there's a lot of input. And I think on the sideline, things are run through the head coach. If not, then he's not earning his keep. So, and I think he has his input. And I think now even more that
Well,
those
yeah,
two
now
guys are
because
gone. He's got more input about what's going on. And, you know,
he was a receivers coach, right?
he was.
Okay, that's where he started off at. Now he's learned the job. He's earned to do something besides just being a figure person. But anyway, the problem was with Dabo and the quarterback was the father of the quarterback was doing some betting with things going on, and he was controlling the quarterback. The father was.
All right. Let me go. Thank you for the phone call. Appreciate it, Bruce. Bruce way out there in Missouri, and appreciate his thoughts. Just got a piece of information here that somebody has shared with me. And somebody who's pretty knowledgeable. I don't know the answer to this. Have you heard anything about the NIL at South Carolina? It's called Park Avenue. Have you heard about that? The NIL at South Carolina called Park Avenue. The NIL at South Carolina is on pause from the NCAA, and that's why players are transferring out and leaving. You know anything about that? I mean, I don't know the first thing about that.
I don't. I'm trying to read about it now, but that's the first I'm hearing that name, I believe.
I don't know anything more other than that, and I don't know exactly what all that means on pause, NCAA, et cetera, et cetera.
Here's something. South Carolina partners with ESM on Park Avenue NIL subsidiary.
Yeah, I mean, that's when they first created the deal. I don't know. We'll have to look into that and see what's up. Why would something be on pause at South Carolina from an NIL standpoint? Don't know the first thing about that, but got a little tip on that from somebody who I think would know what they're talking about. We'll see what else comes of that, and we'll continue after the break.
Someone will be right with you. The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. President Biden is cheering the latest report showing a drop in inflation for the fifth month in a row. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Consumer prices rose 7.1% in November from a year ago, and that was down from 7.7% in October. President Biden welcomed the report, even as American households continue to face economic pressures.
Make no mistake, prices are still too high. We have a lot more work to do, but things are getting better, headed in the right direction.
The president pointed to falling gas prices and lower food costs as bright spots in the economy. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Stellantis, the new name for the former Fiat Chrysler, is recalling about 1.4 million Ram pickup trucks worldwide. Correspondent Rita Foley reports on why some of those pickups are being recalled.
The problem is the tailgates may not close completely and the cargo could fall out onto the road. These are Ram 1500, 2500, and 3500 pickups from the 2019 through 2022 model years. Dealers will inspect the tailgate striker alignment and adjust it if it's necessary. In the meantime, Stellantis, the company that used to be called Fiat Chrysler, says owners should make sure they secure any cargo in the beds.
A massive storm is blowing across the country. An area stretching from Montana into western Nebraska and Colorado was under blizzard warnings, and the National Weather Service said that as much as 2 feet of snow was possible in some areas of western South Dakota and northwestern Nebraska. Ice and sleet were expected in the eastern Great Plains. In the south, a line of thunderstorms that moved across North Texas and Oklahoma in the early morning hours brought tornadoes, damaging winds, hail, and heavy rain. On Wall Street, the Dow by 103 points. The Nasdaq rose 113. More on these stories at townhall.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-940-6161. That's 1-800-940-6161. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-940-6161. SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
A bill tied to the January 6th Capitol riot will be attached to the omnibus budget bill in the Senate.
The Electoral Count Act clarifies the role of the vice president is solely ministerial when Congress convenes to certify the results of a presidential election. The clarification was sought in response to claims made by former President Trump that then Vice President Pence had the right to block certification of the 2020 election because of concerns raised about the integrity of the vote. The Electoral Count Act will clarify the vice president has no power to solely determine, accept, reject, or otherwise adjudicate disputes over electors. Bob Agnew reporting.
The former nurse of late Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez has been found guilty of money laundering in connection to bribes paid by a billionaire media mogul to greenlight lucrative currency transactions when she served as the country's national treasurer. Claudia Diaz was found guilty on 5 of 6 counts. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. The chance of showers mainly after 4 p.m. Mostly cloudy with highs near 54. Chance of precipitation is 30%. Showers likely, then showers and possibly a thunderstorm late. Lows around 49. Thursday, showers and possibly a thunderstorm before 1 p.m. Highs near 65. New rainfall amounts between 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch possible. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh. Now you get this.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, so this thing with Park Avenue apparently is something that is not real new. Ray Tanner talked to the media today after the board meeting to discuss the hiring of Loggins and the Pete Limbo extension, and question was asked about Shane Beamer extension. He said ongoing conversations and other assistant coaches as far as their contracts. And there was a question asked on the NIL front and Park Avenue. And this was written by Colin Taylor of Gamecock Central, or transcribed by him, the answer. His answer was to the question about the NIL and Park Avenue. And his answer was as follows. As you know, there are other collectives. Park Avenue, even though the NCAA did technically put them on pause, they are still a vehicle they can recommend to other collectives of what we're doing here. I don't think it slows down very much at all, but we're certainly trying to move forward in the NIL field as other schools are too. So, in a quote. So that's all I've seen of it. I hadn't seen anything about Park Avenue having an issue from the NCAA. The person who passed this on to me said NCAA has, still on. The NCAA said it wasn't following the rules. I don't know what that means. So yeah, I don't know. Did that lead to these players all of a sudden transferring? Were they connected to Park Avenue? Now they weren't getting something, and that's why they bolted? I don't know. But I don't know if you can tie it all in together or not. But that is what we can find out about that at short notice. Appreciate the heads up. Back to the phones, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number right here on Sports Talk. So we go to Jimmy in Simpsonville next. Jimmy, welcome to Sports Talk. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Terrific.
Your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll.
I like it.
Loggins Messina.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So earlier when you first started your show, you said something about 2 offensive linemen in recruiting that the Gamecocks lost, but I've been in and out of my vehicle, so I didn't catch who those guys are.
Yeah. Isaiah Jetta, junior college offensive lineman. He's from San Diego. He goes to Snow College in Utah. He just visited Auburn. He just visited BYU. Auburn just offered him recently. And the other is Babalode, Olawatusan Babalode. Olawatusan Babalade from up in Maryland. They call him Tree. And he's been committed to South Carolina since the summer. And he said on his tweet that he just needed to kind of reevaluate some things, look at some other possibilities, and he was backing out of his commitment to South Carolina.
And Phil, he went to the same high school as Marshawn Lloyd. I'm not sure if that means that there was a relationship there or not, but just to point out, they did go to Matha Catholic High School together.
I mean, look, this could all be connected. It's interesting. I don't know if it has anything to do with the new hire for the OC or not. Who knows? Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? These guys communicating and telling each other this and telling each other that.
Well, thank goodness we know how to pronounce his name.
Olawatusan Babalade.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like some of Clemson players' names, like DJ Uiagalelei.
Uiagalelei. That's right. That's right.
So I saw that Zach Pickens has opted out for the NFL draft. I mean, I can't keep up with all these guys taking off from South Carolina, either a transfer portal or opting out. So Zach Pickens has opted out. Those guys that went in the transfer portal, is there any that I've missed there?
Yeah. I mean, you've missed Jaheim Bell, of course, who's committed now to Florida State. You've missed Austin Stogner, who's going back to Oklahoma. You've missed, yeah. And then you've got Jordan Davis, backup offensive lineman, who's transferring out. You've got R.J. Roderick, safety, who's transferring out. And you've got the backup cornerback, what's his name? Backup cornerback from down in Florida. I got to look it up. But there's another one. He's a reserve. He's a reserve corner that is headed. That's put his name into the portal as well.
So anybody after Marshawn Lloyd that you're aware of? I'm just trying. I can't keep up with all the guys leaving one way or another.
Let's see. Marshawn was yesterday. Was there anybody else yesterday? Was he the only one?
The only other note I'm seeing from yesterday was just that Jaheim Bell committed to Florida State, but does not look like any other Gamecocks have entered the portal. And I think you may have been thinking of Joey Hunter.
Joey Hunter. Yeah, Joey Hunter. Oh, and Tyrese Ross, backup safety. He, too, is gone. So the ones that hurt the most, of course, Lloyd, Stogner, Bell, those three hurt in terms of their major contributions. So as of today, according to On3, 1,244 are in the portal. 103 have committed. 20 have withdrawn. So 1,244 have entered the transfer portal since in 8 days, because it opened December 5th, in 8 days.
Well, if we beat Notre Dame, Shane Beamer is a great coach.
Well, I'm sure that's how a lot of people will feel.
Yeah. All right, guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Great hearing from you. Appreciate it.
Phil, to go a bit deeper here, because I got curious. If you go to Babalade's, one of the 2 decommitments today, you go to his Twitter page, his most recent 3 tweets, December 11th is him adding Coach Beamer, and it's a photo he shared of he and a number of USC coaches.
Yeah, they were just in
smiling.
for their home visit.
Yeah, 2 days ago. And then on the 12th, he retweets the on-3 note that Marshawn Lloyd has entered the portal, and he did a couple of emojis, like the face plant emoji, and said, "Ah, man." And then a day later, decommitting.
Yeah.
That's quite a three-day swing there.
Yes, it is. Stay on the phones, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. And we go to Gary in Charleston. Is that right, Gary? Welcome into Sports Talk on this Talking Tuesday. How are you?
How you doing, Phil?
Good. Good to have you with us.
I just was wanting to see how the people that talk was about.
Ooh. Hey, Gary, we got a real bad cell. We're going to put you back on hold. And let's take one other call. And Pat, you can did we lose Gary?
Oh, yeah, but hopefully, Gary, if you're still listening, call us right back. We'll get you right in. But in the meanwhile, we'll stick around the Midlands. And Hank in Columbia, you are next.
All right, Hank. Hank, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Corn.
Good.
I was calling about, when I hear some people, and I'm not sure, Carolina fans or Clemson fans are calling and talk about these the transfers out. And I don't know if you saw there was a story done that was on Twitter, I think yesterday, the day before, they talked about how the SEC teams were faring with transfers. And South Carolina, for as much as some of our folk complain, we were the second lowest amount of transfers out since the season had started. It was, I believe it was, I can't remember, Vanderbilt or something had 6 transfers out or something that they counted up. And I think South Carolina had like 7 or it was 7 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the other teams, there was like 10, 12, 14. I think Alabama had 16 out. A&M had 16 out. So I think it's just a product of where we are now, and every team is dealing with it. I think some people run around here like the hair on fire when these folk are leaving.
Well, I'll say, and you're right, but I'll say this too. South Carolina is not a team with great depth and great overall talent. It's just not. And it depends on who you're losing. Yeah, a lot of teams can lose players and they can withstand that and not really feel it. But I mean, South Carolina will miss Jaheim Bell. They'll miss Austin Stogner. They're going to miss.
And I'm not saying we won't.
Mm-hmm. They're going to miss Marshawn Lloyd.
I guess my thing would be they'll find, they have to find a running back to replace Lloyd. And they'll probably look at, they got a really good one coming in, but they'll probably look in the portal to get somebody that's 1 or 2 that are actually already ready made. And there's some good ones out there. Stogner was very good, but by the last 2 to 3 games, I don't know if this caused him to go back or not. His targets were greatly reduced with them trying to do what they were doing with Bell, and the fact that Rattler had found his rhythm with Wells and the receivers. And so I think he's one that they'll miss, but he was one that I didn't ever think he was going to be back for a second year. Anyway, he wasn't one I was counting on 2 years. I actually thought this was his last year when he came in. Because he was a grad student.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Bell. But it seemed like last year, for as great of the potential we always talked about Bell, statistically, I heard Dr. Rick Sanford talk about this. We didn't get a lot out of him because of how inconsistent he was used. So you missed the potential for him, but this year we didn't get what we would have thought we would have got out of him. I don't know if it was, the coaches couldn't figure out how to use him well. He didn't look comfortable in the backfield. So what I'm saying is these guys are report guys, but it's not like, all the other guys you named, those are guys that even up in Clemson weren't on the field when freshmen were playing. They weren't the BJ Paynes and the Bam, that guy, the linebacker that played, or the safety that played when him and Warrior went out for a little bit. They're basically guys that are scout team guys, and I think it's happening all over the country.
Yeah, I was just looking since you brought it up. Arkansas's got 19 in the portal. Vanderbilt's got 11. I'm just pulling out some SEC teams here. Auburn's got 13. Now I'd have to go through each one to see how many starters are there. Kentucky's got 11 in the portal. So, yeah, South Carolina seems to have a lower number. But the ones they're losing are definitely, impactful players. Let's see how many Georgia has. Georgia has just one right now. Yeah.
You got to think.
Yeah, Georgia. Yeah, Georgia. I think it's the one that has the one.
Yeah, but I mean that will change after the championship game. After,
They still have
after
games
playoffs.
to go.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Hank. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
Let's see. We want to squeeze in one more before we hit the break. Do we have the previous caller back who had to drop?
Not yet, but again, Gary, if you're listening, call back. We'll get you right in. But right now, we are going to go up to Spartanburg, and it'll be Nelson from Spartanburg.
Nelson. I was in Spartanburg. Man, Spartanburg has gotten so busy with traffic. Unbelievable. And boy, Spartanburg High School, what a beautiful school they have built out there.
How you doing? I was going to ask you. You think $140 million high schools are impressive?
Holy, is that what they spent? $140 million?
$140 million on 110 acres, 2 different lakes, fountains, outdoor teaching, amphitheaters.
Well, I hope those kids are getting a good education.
Well, Spartan High has always been a great academic high school.
But
so,
you killed a golf course to build it.
Now that is true. Lanier, that was going to be a huge urban shopping mall center, but the real estate collapse killed that deal. So that's how that property ended up becoming mostly Spartanburg High School. But anyway, when I was at Spartan High, we had 3,800 students, and that was just 10th, 11th, 12th grade. It's nowhere near that big now, maybe 2,200 or so. But with all the thousands of houses and apartments being built in District 7, that number will be skyrocketing again.
Yeah.
We're growing so fast. It's just Spartanburg and Myrtle Beach are the 2 fastest growing areas. We're 2 of the top 10 fastest growing areas in the country, and we have over 10,000 people a year moving in here. It's just unbelievable. The traffic changes every 4 to 6 months now.
Yeah. But it was a bear.
But anyway,
I got out of there. I knew my time was going to be tight, and I finished up just watching practice. Practice finished about 4. I was chatting with Bobby Lamb and some others, hopped in the car, got back on what's the road that runs in front of the school out there by Hillcrest Mall? East Main.
East Main.
Yeah.
29, yeah.
Took that across town to get over to 221 to get to 26. And, man, was the traffic just jammed on that side of town until I could get through town and get to 221. Then I could get on down the road.
Yeah, it's even worse on the north side of town. The west side of town, as you head towards BMW. It's a nightmare. But anyway, this whole situation with the transfer portal, colleges, universities are going to have to start fighting back. Right now, this is just it's just a free for all. So they're going to have to put some rules in place to protect the product, because if you don't protect college football, then it's all for naught anyway. And
as it was pointed out to me, as it was pointed out, I'll let you finish. As it was pointed out to me today, your Clemsons and your South Carolinas and those schools are dealing with rules that your West Shepherd State gets to vote on. In other words, you got schools that have no business dealing with the rules that impact schools like South Carolina and Clemson, who are voting on those rules too. And so I think they've used the word the autonomy. These schools, they need to get off by themselves and make their own set of rules that fit their needs and not the needs of other schools that don't play the major college football that they play. And those schools are creating rules that are good for them, but aren't good for what fits the needs of these major schools.
Well, here's how I see it. You got these entities need to be protected. The universities, the players, football itself, but also the fans, because the fans put up the money that supports college football. Without the fans, you don't have college football. And right now, I've heard a lot of people that are mad that want their money back for like Gator Bowl tickets and stuff. They're saying that I'm just wasting my money buying tickets, and then the team don't show up. So I think these transfer portals and stuff are going to have to stay closed until after the seasons are over, which includes bowl games. But if these players want to be treated like professionals, then I think the colleges and universities are going to have them start signing contracts to come in. And then if they want to transfer, then what needs to take place is another school has to buy the contract out.
Well, Nelson, you and I are of the same mind. I mean, I put out the core principles of running college football last night, and you've just hit on them, including I put eliminate the early signing period. Oh, and it was pointed out to me today, another reason to eliminate the early signing period, now you've got schools firing coaches early so that the new coaching staff can get in and start recruiting for the early signing period. If you eliminate that eliminates that need, which is a good thing. And then, like you talked about and what I talked about last night, a scholarship should be like a pro contract both ways. I mean, they are pros, as I talked about, others have talked about. They're getting money, tons of money. Treat them like pros. They should act like pros. And you just can't, I mean, it's just philosophical and it's commonsensical. You just can't up and leave your team. Can you imagine a pro football player just up and leaving his team and saying, I'm going to go play for somebody else here in the next few weeks? It just doesn't happen because they're under contract. Yes, I know they're pro athletes who leave their teams for a lot of reasons, injuries, personal matters that they have to deal with, but not because they want to go and play for somebody else right away. They might want to play somewhere else, but they know they're under contract. So they'd have to be cut, waived, or traded or retire and then, come back and then compensate the previous contract owners in some way. So I think a lot of these things have to be starting to be applied on the college scene as well, because right now the players have all the control. And that's not going to be a successful recipe for college sports moving forward.
No, chaos. This chaos, I know it's new, but this chaos cannot continue. So I agree. I didn't hear you last night, but put them under contract. You want to leave, then the other school has to buy you out. You lose a year of eligibility. There's got to be some rules in place. It can't just be all the players having everything in their hands and just destroying the product. Because if you destroy the product, then the players are no longer going to have.
But see, here's the other, and we got to let you go. But here's the other issue. The other issue here is right now, the only way to acquire talent in college is through recruiting. And the only way to recruit and to get players is to basically give them whatever they want. Because if you, school A, if you don't give it to them, school B will. You see what I'm saying? That's the recruiting game. Yeah, okay. You can't get that over there? Well, we'll give it to you over here. And we can do it over here. So that's the recruiting game now. And if that puts the pressure on the recruiting is so intense to keep up with what the Joneses are doing, to give the players whatever they want. And if you put unless it's a mandated NCAA-wide change of the rules, individually, a school can't stand up and say, I'm not doing this because I don't believe in it. I think it's wrong. Well, the school down the street could care less. They're doing it and they're getting the players. And all of a sudden you're looking for a new coach in 2 or 3 years because you don't have the players. And it's the recruiting game is the most, I mean, it's the wackiest way of accruing talent that there is in all of sports when you think about it. And at least the pros, the real pro leagues, they have their drafts. And there's no way, of course, that the colleges can go to a draft. I don't think you can, you can't pluck a player out of high school and say, you got to go here. We drafted you. That's not going to work, obviously. But there are things they can do to refine the recruiting process, make it make sense, both in terms of the calendar and how you operate. If they would just, take a minute, take a step back, try and work for the greater good and not for the individual school. Try and work for the greater good of the game and of the sport and come up with some sensible guidelines that will apply to the situation. But they won't do that because they're all out for each other. It's me, me, me. It's what can I do for my program? What can I do for my school to beat the school over there? And that's the situation they've created for themselves. And they have no one to blame but themselves because they make the rules. They make the rules. I mean, the NCAA, which is the presidents, which listen to the athletic directors, which listen to the coaches. I mean, that's the line of communication. They make the rules, or the NCAA reps. So they could make these rules make more sense, both from a calendar standpoint and from a process standpoint.
So if you start implementing rules like that, how long until you see the players come up with a collective bargaining agreement like we see in professional sports? I think that would be the inevitable next step.
Do it.
But that might be a good thing, because then we can, if everybody would come together, like you're saying, collectively and figure out some rules to make it fair for everybody, the players could still have a voice and still express what they want, how they want to get there, X, Y, Z, et cetera, et cetera. The universities could all do the same. The conferences could do the same. It almost, again, we've said this for a couple of years now, it feels as though the cart was put before the horse. The cart was put before the horse. And this was just really poorly thought out. And it was done so hastily, just such a rush. And now we really need to kind of take a step back and figure out a way to make this work.
It wasn't thought out well at all. And keep in mind, too, besides your players, when all this happened a couple of years ago, when the Supreme Court ruled what they did about name, image, likeness, and opened this whole thing up, what else did you have? You had how many? Hundreds, if not thousands, of outsiders rushing in with these the collectives, right? I mean, they came out of everywhere. Everybody, it seemed like everybody you knew was starting a collective.
It's a race to the courthouse, is what you call that in business.
Is that what you call it? Yeah.
Everybody, it's like, for instance, there's a city allows 9 new grants for housing community developments. Well, the first 9 groups that get there and get approved, it's essentially a race to the courthouse. The 10th person loses out.
Right.
Same kind of thing here. How many NILs could realistically be successful for a Clemson or a South Carolina? What, 2, maybe 3? Well, if you're the 4th guy, you're left out in the cold. So it was all about getting there as quickly as possible, getting your name stamped, getting approved, and start making that money.
To think that the best college football teams now are truly being bought and paid for by their fans. I mean, that's basically what it's going to be. And you might say, well, they've always bought the players. No, they haven't. I mean, yeah, there's been cheating, and there's been cheating in some places in large ways where certain players got bags of money, cars, the whole deal. We understand that, okay? But I think that was pretty isolated individually and in terms of the schools. Now we're just talking about a free-for-all. And the funny thing is that the schools, really, they have their cake and they can eat it too, because they're not having to pay the players. You are. And that's the part, to me, that's just so mind-numbing, that you actually do it. I just, but I guess you want to do it because you want your team to win, and the only way to win is to pay the players as much as you can pay them.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Chance of showers mainly after 4 p.m. Mostly cloudy with highs near 54. Chance of precipitation is 30%. Showers likely, then showers and possibly a thunderstorm late. Lows around 49. Thursday, showers and possibly a thunderstorm before 1 p.m. Highs near 65. New rainfall amounts between 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch possible. Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Sonic has something delicious for you. Hey, announcer guy, that's your cue.
Indulge in the all-new Sonic Steak Butter Bacon Cheeseburger with creamy steak-seasoned butter and crispy bacon, stacked on a 100% pure beef patty with 2 slices of melty American cheese and grilled onions, layered between a warm bakery bun.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm definitely craving that previously mentioned thing.
Sonic Steak Butter Bacon Cheeseburger.
Sonic.
Limited time only at participating Sonic drive-ins.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is asking the state Supreme Court to convene a grand jury to investigate any and all wrongdoing with respect to the COVID-19 vaccines. The Republican governor gave no specifics on what wrongdoing the panel would investigate, but he said it was illegal in Florida to misrepresent the efficacy of a drug and that the panel would aim to jog loose data about the vaccines. Scientists have declared on the same day that 2 active Hawaii volcanoes have stopped erupting. The U.S. Geological Survey's Hawaiian Volcano Observatory said in a statement Tuesday that Kilauea is no longer erupting. The agency followed with a separate statement declaring Mauna Loa is no longer erupting. On Wall Street, the Dow by 103 points. The Nasdaq rose 113. More details at srnnews.com.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
I'm already a big fan of Medicare Blueprint. Tim and his team saved me several $1,000s. They took a look at my health insurance. They helped me get the best possible plan. But not long ago, I reached out when we had a crisis. The big bad insurance company out of nowhere just canceled Mom's medicine for her multiple sclerosis. No warning, 30 years, same med, and just like that, gone. Here's the good news. Medicare Blueprint doesn't work for the insurance companies. They work for you. They're local. Imagine me trying to get this fixed, calling some national toll-free number. Outsourced operators never talk to the same person twice. Medicare Blueprint went to work, helped me get Mom's meds back, and how's this? Even less expensively than we were paying before. Incredible customer service and local. What a great formula. Oh, and it cost me nothing for their services. Nothing. Whether you're on Medicare or not, my mom is, I'm not. Medicare Blueprint help both of us. Online, it's MedicareBlueprint.com or call them 708-7398. That's 708-7398.
Hi, this is Marcia Clayman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for the Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on The Point for the Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakwood Village of Lexington.
Attention listeners, con artists have many tricks for stealing your money, but the AARP Fraud Watch Network is here to help you protect yourself and your family. We give you the tools you need to spot and avoid scams. So listen for the AARP Fraud Watch Network alerts. Use our scam tracking map to see the latest scams and sign up for prevention tips and alerts from law enforcement. To learn how to outsmart con artists before they strike, visit aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
I'm Reverend Juan, and I'm here to invite you to my show, Open Hearts, Open Minds, with some exciting topics about life in general. So tune in every Sunday at 6 p.m. here on The Point Radio, 100.7 FM, or 1470 AM, or listen live at makethepointradio.com.
Hey, it's the Cigar Militia. We want to thank the Midlands for a wonderful first year. Thank you for helping us grow. We had no idea we had so many good friends out there. One thing I love about the cigar culture is we all have our favorite brands, but we're also willing to try new ones too. Come in and get your old standby, or have one of our knowledgeable staff members walk you through the humidor to your new favorite. We're at 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard in the same plaza as the Melting Pot Restaurant.
All right, we got recruiting coming up for you shortly. Dabo Sweeney coming up for you as well. Maybe get to some more phone calls here before we wrap things up. Been a very busy show here tonight on Sports Talk. Right now, though, let's take a moment and welcome in Brian Rosefield, the athletics director at Ridgeview High School, just outside of Columbia. Got the big basketball event coming up, the Bash. And he's got some great teams and great players, and that thing is coming up on us quickly. It begins in 2 days. Brian, great to have you with us.
Phil, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. We've been doing this for many, many years, so I'm excited to talk to you again, talk some hoops with you.
Yes, sir. And, boy, this event has just grown exponentially since you started it, and you really got some terrific teams and some terrific players coming in to spend a few days over at Ridgeview High School.
10 years with this event, and it's really been in place for longer than that. But you talk about the teams and the players that we have coming in this year, and then looking back at the list of teams and players from years gone by. The event's been around long enough now to have multiple kids that have played at our beautiful gym at Ridgeview High School that are now playing in the NBA. Jonathan Kuminga, Josh Hall, Cam Thomas, and of course everybody loves G.G. Jackson. Our very own G.G. Jackson is doing great things for our South Carolina Gamecocks. But this year's group is loaded again. 13 teams, 10 games, 3 nights. it's going to be epic, and everybody can check it out at thebashhoops.com.
You got Ridgeview, you got Oak Hill, which brings your former coach back. You've got Huntington Prep, Gray Collegiate, Augusta Christian, Dorman, always tough, North Meck, Lexington with Cam Scott, and Keenan. Also Burns, Cross Creek of Augusta, and Westwood. So good mixture of local schools with talent and out-of-state power programs as well.
And that's what we've been able to do, Phil, just to create that maximum excitement with the showcase format, to be able to take, you mentioned Coach Stoneman bringing his Oak Hill boys down to play our Ridgeview guys on a Thursday night. It's going to be an epic matchup. Everybody loves Coach Stoneman. Everybody loves Coach Staley, the job that he's already doing at Ridgeview, and to be able to have that matchup. It's going to be a great game, first of all, but it's going to be just a special night for our entire Ridgeview community. And it's just, I get chills thinking about it, Phil. And you talk about Huntington Prep, Dorman. I saw the latest South Carolina Basketball Coaches Association poll came out. We have 3 of the top 4 teams in 5A that are playing at the Bash with Lexington, Burns, and Dorman. They're absolutely loaded. And as much of a football state as South Carolina is, to be able to have top talent within the state of South Carolina, and then to bring in these national teams in Combine Academy, Oak Hill, Huntington Prep. You talk about Cross Creek out of Georgia. To be able to match them up with local teams and South Carolina teams, it just makes it a whole lot of fun. And we've been around long enough, too, Phil, to have kids that have been ball boys and been wiping up sweat when they were 6, 7, 8 years old. Now they're growing up to be able to play in the Bash. And it happens every year. I love talking to kids and talking. What you looking forward to playing in the Bash one day? Like, oh yeah, I can't wait. And so it's just a special event. Our Ridgeview community really comes out and supports it. We pack it out, 1,500 fans every night, and just can't wait to get it started.
Yeah, and you guys are one of the first in the state in the holiday season to get going with the basketball tournaments like this that have become so big all across the country. Kind of gives you a jump start on everybody.
It really does, and we really feel like we do a good job of tipping off, like you say, that basketball season here in the state of South Carolina, and have a great events following all around the state and all around the country. And it's amazing to see really what ESPN is doing with all these events that are around the country now, and to see basketball continue to grow and grow and grow. We're glad to be a part of it, and maybe a small, very large part of it. But yeah, it's a special event, and like I said, we roll out the red carpet to everybody that comes into Ridgeview High School, and we're very clear about the intent of the event. We want to take care of the players, the coaches, and the fans, and we do that in a variety of ways. With DJ I Am down there, spinning music. It is great basketball, but it's more about the experience of walking in the gym, feeling the energy of great high school basketball, and just great energy in that gym. It's a lot of fun.
So tell everybody once again, are there still tickets available? And if so, how can they get them?
Tickets are still available if they go to thebashhoops.com. We're selling them online. We will be selling them at the door as long as they remain. The prices do go up at the door, so would encourage fans to go to thebashhoops.com and go ahead and get those tickets. They are selling fast, as our promotion engine has been cranking up here the last few days. They are flying off the shelves, and we do sell out. So again, thebashhoops.com. They can see the schedule, like I said, the list of former players, and get those tickets at thebashhoops.com.
Hey, Brian, as always, we appreciate it. Have a great tournament. I'm going to try and get out there myself and watch some of it. And again, folks can go to the website, thebashhoops.com, to get all the details, tickets, schedule, and all that. Best of luck to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks so much.
Always great talking to you. Brian Rosefield from over at Ridgeview High School, 10th edition of the Bash, and should be a lot of fun. Before we do anything else, we got to get to Dabo Sweeney, and let's go to Dabo Sweeney and hear some few comments from Dabo Sweeney. Dabo Sweeney, want to hear from him, the Clemson football coach. You heard of him? So today, Dabo did a gaggle, which is a group interview with the media, not a formal sit up at the behind a podium or at the desk or anything. And we did it inside the football practice facility. And the Tigers were actually warming up as we were doing this. Players were going through some of their stretching and stuff like that. They actually began their bowl practice on Sunday. Picked it back up today. They got exams going on up at Clemson, too, so they're having to work around that. He addresses all that here in his opening comments. So here's Dabo Swinney. Spoke for about 20 minutes. Here's a sampling of that as we bring that to you right now here on Sports Talk.
Normally when we've had this week, it's been dead period. And so it's really just been almost like camp. So our guys are in finals, so we're having to meet and practice around finals and be very strategic with our time. Plus we got to recruit, but it's been good. Yesterday we started Sunday, and then yesterday was really just all of us, a whole staff day. We really didn't recruit, just full staff day, kind of get our arms around everything. Had a player meeting, and then they kind of got going into their finals. And then today and tomorrow is a combination of meet, finals, practice, recruit, you name it. And then Thursday is a kind of a heavy final day, be all recruiting, and then we'll be done and pretty much all ball Friday, Saturday, with maybe some guys going out Friday night to see some basketball games and stuff. So busy week, busy time to get to the dead period. And we'll break out of Clemson next week. Guys, a bunch of guys that are already graduates, a bunch of guys that are graduating next week. We got a graduation ceremony on the 21st, graduation on the 22nd. We will arrive in Miami on Christmas Day. That'll be kind of, when we kind of have our first team meeting once we break, and then try to have a normal week. Basically, Christmas Day will be like a Monday for us, and then try to have a normal week of prep down there. But it's been busy, but it's been really fun. I'm excited about the opportunity that we have. I'm proud of our team. 10-2 regular season, a good year, a really good year, and 11-2 and ACC champs, a great year. And we got a chance to be 12-2 and have a special year. So that's really what we're trying to do, is accomplish this last goal. And if we do that, it would be a special year. But a lot of work to do between now and then, on and off the field. So excited about getting back going with some practice shells today, full pads tomorrow. We'll get a lot of the heavy lifting done this week, and then kind of taper it down and really try to get the plan done before we get down to Miami. And then, when you get down there, it's really busy. You try to just polish. So excited about that. And then everybody's here, player-wise. The only one that is going to go ahead and go pro is Miles Murphy. I think y'all know that already. Has he put that out? I'm not sure if he's the only one not here, but he's gonna turn pro, and excited for his opportunity. He's gonna be a great pro, and certainly appreciate everything he did here, and wish him well. But everybody else is here and ready to roll. Got a few guys in yellow today that a couple of them just sick, and another one coming off a little minor procedure. Will be back here in a couple days, so in a good spot there. Guys are excited and ready to roll. And obviously everybody heard the news about Coach Mike Leach, and offer our condolences and our prayers to his family, especially his wife. I only had an opportunity to be around him on a couple of occasions. He was on a couple when he was at Nike school a couple of times, and he was on a couple of the Nike trips with other coaches, and that was really when I had most opportunity to be around him. Just like you would perceive him, hilarious, great, just a great perspective. And, again, a guy that I haven't spent a lot of time with outside of maybe a social setting, but have always admired. I know a lot of people who know him and have worked with him. And just a guy I've always respected because he's one of the great innovators of the game, and one of those guys that believed in how he did things and really didn't, he wasn't really, didn't really worry about what everybody else thought. He was kind of a pioneer in the way he believed things should be done, and didn't really waver from that. But, just college football and football in general, and we'll miss him. And I know he had an impact on a lot of people's lives. So really just want to lift up his family.
Coach, I guess with DJ and Wiles out, you're down to the two hunters as backups. How will you kind of divide up the reps there?
Yeah, glad we got Hunter. Glad he came on board. Well, he'll be our 2, and he's been the 3 all year, and he'll just move up to 2, and Hunter will be the 3, and then we'll get Trent Pierman a little bit more work. He's done a really good job on our scout team all year, back-to-back Gatorade Player of the Year. I mean, this is a kid that's got some ability, and so he'll get maybe a little bit of work, but so it's what we got.
Did DJ's decision surprise you at all?
No. The only thing, I mean, it's a product of, it's a consequence of the rules the way they are right now, because he really didn't want to leave. I knew he was leaving, whether he was going to go pro or whatever. He really, wanted to go pro, and I think has just come to the conclusion that he really needs another year. He's got his degrees, graduating next week. So I knew he was going one way or the other. But he really wanted to finish. He really wanted to play. He wanted to be there with his team. But the way the rules are set up, it doesn't really allow you to do that, because you've got a very little small window here where he's got to figure out what he's going to do. So this kind of is what it is. But thankful for DJ, and love him and appreciate him. I mean, he's a graduate in 3 years. He's been one of the greatest kids that have come through here, one of the most respected players and leaders, and he'll be back for the banquet and all that stuff. But I mean, he's a graduate of Clemson, and he's a 2-time ACC champion. And honestly, we probably don't win the division his freshman year without him, stepping in for us and against BC. And we definitely don't get to Charlotte this year without him. And so I'm thankful for him. He's been a great ambassador for Clemson, and just know he's going to do great things. He's got a lot of great football in front of him, and then really obviously proud of Cade and how he stepped in and how he's grown and developed, and he's had a front row seat to really see the good and the bad of what it's like to be a quarterback at this level, and so. Excited to see him have his opportunity to get his first start on a big stage and compete against a really good team.
I know you haven't been around the guys all that much since the championship game. How do you think they'd handle the transition? Because DJ was such a leader, such a beloved guy among this team.
Oh, great. I mean, we just getting going. Sunday they had last week. They all knew. I mean, they handled it during the game. Everybody handled it during the game. And so it's, these guys are all competitors, and they all understand the game. And Cade's an easy guy. It's not like he's some hard personality. He's an easy guy to get behind. Oh, Trenton's here, but he's hurt. Trenton's not going to be able to play, but it's not because he's not here or going pro or all that stuff. But he can't play. He'd probably be ready in about 3 weeks, but that's probably going to be right about kickoff time or right after. So he missed the game. He was battling the ankle, and then he re-injured it in the championship game. I assume y'all saw him come out of the game, and I didn't think he was going back in, to be honest with you. But he next thing I know, he's over there tapping me on the shoulder saying, "Coach, I got to go." And they rubbed some dirt on it, taped it up, and he finished. And man, I got a great appreciation for Trenton for that. It's been real easy for him to kind of stay on that sideline. And fortunately, he's not going to have surgery. We thought he might have to have the tightrope, but they don't think he's going to have surgery. But it's probably about 3 weeks before he's going to be ready to play. And but he's here with us and all that stuff. And that's another guy that's not going to be available. I know what he's doing. I don't know. Has he put anything out on what he's doing, one way or the other? Trenton? Okay. Well, I'll let him do that. So I know what he's going to do, but I'll let him do that.
What do you want to see out of Cade the next 3 weeks? And does anything change when he goes from the backup role to the starting role?
A lot changes. Light gets a lot brighter, and everybody's going to be rooting for the backup. So. Your mistakes get magnified. If you don't comb your hair right on that day, it gets magnified. Scrutiny gets a lot greater, and that just comes with it. But obviously, I mean, we rep our two quarterbacks, equally. So he's always got, but now he's repping with all the ones. He's always gotten some reps, but now he's getting all the ones. And he has to lead now, from out front, as opposed to, not that he's not leading, but he's the guy. And so there's a lot that comes with that. But this kid's been doing this a long time. He's well prepared and ready and excited to have this opportunity.
All right, comments from Dabo Sweeney from earlier today. All of our comments are up on the website, SportsTalkSC.com. All the comments from Sweeney are there. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock, it will be Shane Beamer meeting with the media in a formal press conference setting over at USC to preview the start of their bowl practices on Thursday. And I'm sure, of course, we'll be talking about his new offensive coordinator. Don't know if the OC will be there, but Beamer will be, and we'll bring that to you tomorrow night. Back in a moment.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
We're with Major Billy Downer of DNR. Of course, hunting is very popular across the state of South Carolina. Major Downer, what things should our hunters be thinking about before they get out in the fields?
It seems like every other show we're talking about hunting safety of some sort. Whether it's turkey season or deer season, hunters always need to be aware of their target. Make sure before you pull that trigger that you know what you're looking at. Whether it's a turkey during turkey season or a deer during deer season, you know your identifying features of your game. You know what's beyond that target in case you miss.
Learn more about the great outdoors in South Carolina with Major Billy Downer on SC Wild here on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Score a touchdown with Founders Federal Credit Union. With services like Founders Online and the Founders app, you'll enjoy all the perks of a big bank with local personalized service. Not a member? Joining Founders Federal Credit Union is easy. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership. Relax with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsibly.sc.com.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at ExperienceColumbiaSC.com.
When your day calls for some winning, why not watch your favorite football team at Dave & Buster's? We've got massive HDTVs and hundreds of the hottest new games. Sip from our chef-crafted cocktail menu with exclusive drinks such as the Strawberry Watermelon Margarita or Dangerous Waters. Cheer on the team with Cantina Nachos or wings featuring one of our 12 wing flavors. When your day calls for some winning, it's time for Dave & Buster's, where you can watch the games and play the games. Locations in Greenville, Columbia, and Myrtle Beach.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff Program.
All All right, got to go quickly. Recruiting report brought to you by Seawells. Hope you can get over for the luncheon buffet tomorrow, 11 to 3. Seawells, right across from the State Fairgrounds on Rosewood Drive. Their address, 1125 Rosewood Drive. Put that in your GPS. It will take you right to it, or just open up your nostrils and breathe in the aroma. That's better than a GPS. That will lead you directly to Seawells as well. 1125 Rosewood Drive, the daily luncheon buffet, 11 to 3 every day, Monday through Friday. And, of course, for the best in catering, that is Seawells as well. Their phone number is 803-771-7385. So Clemson got the commitment from Dutch Fork running back Jarvis Green, 5'11", 192. They offered him last week. He was a finalist for Mr. Football after rushing for 2,200 yards, 33 touchdowns. Virginia Tech also offered last week, but once he got the Clemson offer, that was that. He had been committed to James Madison, but Clemson had always been his dream offer. Said he loves the atmosphere, loves the culture over at Clemson, and they're very happy to have him in the fold. He says people compare him to a Travis Etienne type of running back. And the Tigers are expected to add a second running back next week in Jamarius Haynes of Alabama. He picked up an offer today from Coastal Carolina. Offensive tackle Oluwatosin Babalade. Offensive tackle Isaiah Jatta decommitted from USC this afternoon. Clemson is also in the hunt for safety Khalil Barnes of Bogart, Georgia, and he will announce on Friday. Widely expected to commit to Clemson. Let me rephrase that. He is choosing between Clemson and Notre Dame. Both schools have made a strong pitch for him. Took official visits to each in November. Clemson hosting the weekend of the USC game. He also visited Clemson for the Syracuse game and twice in the spring. Dabo Swinney, safeties coach Mickey Kahn, made their in-home visit last Friday. USC commitment defensive tackle Xavier McLeod of Camden, Mr. Football for this year, has set this weekend for his official visit with the Gamecocks, he said last night. Committed to the Gamecocks August 18th over Michigan, Florida, and Georgia. He has held to that pledge despite overtures from others. He indicated last night that his recruiting is over and he is set to sign with the Gamecocks. And USC target defensive tackle Elijah Davis of Wagner-Salley and East Mississippi Junior College did take his official to Tennessee last weekend. Took his official to USC in October. He's choosing between the Gamecocks and the Vols. He plans to announce on December 20th. 2024 cornerback Emilio Agard of Philadelphia has Clemson in his final five, along with Michigan, Alabama, Tennessee, and Penn State. 2024 offensive tackle Blake Franks of Greenville was offered by Auburn. That will do it. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Let's get together tomorrow night, 6:05. See you then.
Local in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Columbia's local talk radio experience. 107 The Point. MakeThePointRadio.com. The Point. The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio.